Good evening, everyone. This is Rachel Jensen calling live, and this is one of my favorite topics that we're going to talk about this evening. It's international banking. And this topic, you may have seen in the Escape Artist article from this morning, is one of my favorites just because there's so much to it that the average person doesn't necessarily understand. And because of the intricacies to it, and also because it is becoming more mainstream in modern society to have international bank accounts and to be doing business globally, I have invited Luigi from Caye International Bank to talk to you more about what it's like to be doing banking overseas. And before we get started, I know it takes a moment or two to get logged into GoToWebinar. So what we're going to do is have you practice with the control panel. The control panel is going to be used for you at the end of the presentation. We're going to be doing a question and answer section. So in order to get you familiar with that question section of the control panel, do me a quick favor and type in where it is you're calling in from, and we'll read those out loud. It's pretty neat. Every now and again, we do this exercise, and we have folks calling in from the same town that perhaps they didn't know there was somebody in their town who is also interested in international banking. So type in there into the question section, and I'm going to read those out loud. First question we have from question, not necessarily a town, is from Jim. He asks if we're going to be recording the broadcast. And yes, Jim, we are recording it. It has started. So you'll get access to it after the presentation as well. We have John calling in from Potomac, Maryland, Bruce from Dallas, Phoenix. We have for PTM Travel, San Clemente, California, San Francisco, Boquete, Panama, Kansas City, Jim. Tony is calling in from Springfield, Missouri, Holly Wilson from Nicaragua, Keith from Alberta, Doug from Vegas, James from Florida, or James Valrico from Florida. We have Michigan, California, another one from San Francisco, Fairfax Station, Enterprise, Alabama, Denver, Colorado, LA, Leesburg, Florida, Whitney, Texas, Washington, DC, Salt Lake City, Utah, Oregon, Bellevue, Iowa, Arcadia, California, Keith, I don't know where you're calling from, Keith, it just says Keith, Sarasota, Florida. Gary says hi to Rachel and Luigi, he's calling in from Dallas. Fort Thomas, Kentucky, Western Kansas, Falls Church, Virginia. Gary lives in Vancouver, Michigan, Levittown, Pennsylvania, Raleigh, North Carolina. My gosh, we have a lot of people online with us tonight. In fact, this was one of our highest number of registrants for a webinar. Over 500 people wanted to hear more about international banking. So sorry if I didn't get to your specific location, but we thank everybody for joining us really around North America. It's a pleasure to see you online tonight. So as many of you know, this is Rachel Jensen. I am the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for ECI Development. And what we like to do each month is provide you with a topic that pertains to international investments or lifestyle of some sort and give you information about that topic more specifically. And we bring in the experts to help us explain. And we are real estate developers. I think many of you are familiar with ECI Development at this point. And our real goal is to deliver inspired residences for adventurous souls throughout North America, and well, throughout Latin America rather. And with us tonight, we have Luigi from Caye Bank. And Caye Bank, if you have never visited before, is absolutely worth a visit. It's located on Ambergris Caye, Belize. That's a Caribbean island off of the mainland. And Caye Bank has been around for quite some time. Luigi's going to go into the history, but one of the reasons Caye Bank is so popular and one of the reasons we work with them is because they provide international financing for foreigners. So one of the big questions I'm asked all the time is, if I'm a foreigner, can I get financing for my international real estate purchase? And if you go back to your hometown bank and you ask them for a mortgage or a loan, chances are they're going to say no, because they have no legal rights in the jurisdiction where you're buying the property. So what that means is it's your responsibility to find somebody or find an institution that will finance for you. So Caye Bank, they do offer financing. You're able to have a bank account as a foreigner, and one of their big advantages is that they have a few different currencies that you can work in. So with us tonight, we have Luigi. Luigi, feel free to introduce yourself, and from there we'll get started.
Great, thanks, Rach. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to present this ECI webinar to you today. The primary focus of the webinar will be on private offshore banking in Belize and the many benefits which it offers. I will also be discussing the advantages of having a bank account in Belize and the types of financial services which Caye International Bank offers. All right, well, let's get started then. And at first, some brief information regarding my background. As Rachel alluded to, I'm the Senior Vice President of Caye International Bank in Belize, the published author of the Digital Banking Revolution book, and I've previously co-authored Economic Research, which was presented before the United States Congress. I also currently serve as an instructor at the FinTech School based out of California. This institution provides online training courses on the latest technological developments within the financial services industry. I also serve as a speaker for the Silicon Valley Innovation Center. Now, you may be thinking, why Belize? Well, for starters, it's now considered the leading international jurisdiction for banking in Central America. Although it hasn't always been like that, and only once the country had gained independence from Britain in 1981 did this give Belize the opportunity to exploit three of its key strategic advantages, which are its legal system, rooted firmly in English common law, its Central American location and proximity to North America, as well as English, the nation's and conveniently the world's official language of business. Traction on the growth of Belize's international financial services sector only began to gain momentum from 1990 with the passing of the country's International Companies Act, which was further extended and most recently amended in 2017. Since 1990, Belize has substantially grown its investor product offerings to include international trusts, mutual funds, international foundations, protected international business companies, international insurance, an open ships registry, a qualified retirement program, and its international banking sector. So why bank in Belize? Well, I consider it to offer a significant number of concrete advantages that one simply cannot get from investing within any American, Canadian, or European-based banks. The first of these key advantages is that Belize has a stable, growing economy with a zero tax regime and strong bank secrecy laws, which benefits people banking within the jurisdiction through increased privacy and confidentiality. There are also no exchange controls in Belize, which means that you can take out or deposit money at any time, and your banking information will always belong to you. Another key advantage to investors is that Belize is politically stable with a local currency that is pegged to the United States dollar at a fixed rate of 2 to 1. This means that people who bank in Belize can have confidence that their money is safe and that currency devaluation will not occur. Additionally, Belizean asset protection laws ensures that bank customers within the jurisdiction who hold assets held under certain structures, for example, RBCs and trusts, are protected from lawsuits, judgments, and divorce settlements. Besides the asset protection, investors can also feel safe when depositing their money in Belize because the central bank reserve requirements in Belize are 3 times the reserve requirements of those in the United States for their local banks. An example of this is Caye International Bank, which has one of the highest liquidity ratios of any global bank, and this is currently at approximately 24%. Now, Caye's history begins in 1996 as a Belizean mortgage company, and after continued success over several years, the decision was taken for it to become an international bank. This was granted on September the 29th, 2003, when Caye received an unrestricted Class A international banking license from the Central Bank of Belize. Caye is the only international bank headquartered on the beautiful island of Ambergris Caye, and our bank license permits us to conduct financial services with both individuals and corporations located outside of Belize. The bank also offers a full range of traditional and non-traditional banking services, as well as accounts in multiple currencies. An application for bank account opening is a straightforward process and can be facilitated from anywhere in the world. Now, Caye International Bank is regularly honored by leading international finance media for its banking expertise and excellence. So far in 2018, the bank has been awarded with 2 prestigious global awards. The first, the Best Private Bank in 2018 award by Global Finance magazine, and also the Most Outstanding Offshore Bank in Central America for 2018 by Wealth and Finance International magazine. Now, Caye currently offers 3 different types of bank accounts to corporate and personal customers. The first is the demand deposit, and this account offers unlimited flexibility with transfers to and from your Caye bank account with a competitive interest rate applied to it. The second is a lifestyle account, which is also known more commonly as a savings account. And this type of bank account is for those who want the ability to be rewarded with a great interest rate upon regularly making savings each month. And the third is a term deposit, and this bank account allows Caye Bank customers to enjoy a fixed rate of return for their nominated term so that they know exactly what their investment is worth at any moment. Now, these, however, are just a couple important things to note when selecting a bank account at Caye. There is a minimum opening balance needed of $1,000. Customer access to any of the Caye International Bank accounts are operated online through a secure 24/7 online banking platform, and bank interest rates do vary depending on the term, amount, and interest payment frequency chosen, as well as the foreign currency account selected. At present, Caye International Bank offers a number of financial services to its customers, the first of which is home financing. And Caye offers bank customers real estate loans in 5 different currencies, which are the United States dollar, Canadian dollar, euro, British pound, and Swiss franc. For personal customers, the bank offers condo financing, residential mortgages, and residential construction loans. For corporate customers, the bank offers commercial mortgages, commercial construction, and land development loans. Caye's interest rates do vary and are anywhere from 4.5% to 12% depending on the loan currency selected. There is also a set loan to value ratio of 50%, and typically the bank offers amortization terms of between 5 to 30 years. Similarly to bank account opening, there are also a few important things to note when applying for financing at Caye International Bank. In that application for financing will be required to have an existing bank account with Caye in good standing, and property loans applied for at Caye, with the real estate being located outside of Belize, will require an IBC to be set up. Now, the second financial service offered at Caye is a prepaid MasterCard, which is a reloadable debit card that has several key features, which include the card being available to both personal and corporate bank account holders of Caye. The card can be preloaded with up to $10,000 at any time and can be used anywhere the MasterCard logo is accepted. The next service offered by the bank is international wire transfers, and Caye has developed strong global correspondent banking relationships over the last several years, which have made wire transfers for our bank customers not only easy to facilitate, but fast and secure. At present, Caye can initiate international wire transfers in 5 major global currencies, which are the United States dollar, Canadian dollar, euro, British pound, and Swiss franc. Now, an increasingly more popular service for the bank has been its gold loan program. And Caye's program allows customers to store their gold in a secure facility in Zurich, Switzerland, where it will be safely located within our vault. Once stored in our vault, the bank will then offer a line of credit for up to 75% of the market value of the total gold stored within Caye's vault in Switzerland. To be considered eligible for the gold loan program offered by Caye International Bank, a person will need to have a minimum initial holding of gold of at least $100,000. In addition to this, all participants in the gold loan program must be customers and bank account holders of Caye International Bank. Once stored in a vault, the bank will then offer a line of credit for up to 75% of the market value of the total gold stored within Caye's vault in Switzerland. A more recently added service to the bank is Caye's check clearing service. And although checks are no longer widely used in international finance, they are still useful in some circumstances. Caye now offers the ability for bank customers to deposit their checks into their corporate or personal bank account, with the benefits of fast, efficient check processing being drawn from any American financial institution, and to be able to receive timely notification and credit to your Caye bank account as soon as the check has been cleared. Well, thank you for joining this ECI webinar today, and I believe there will be time for questions after Rachel has outlined the international opportunities with ECI next.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Luigi. I appreciate that. And Luigi touched on a handful of great points. And if anybody has any specific questions pertaining to them personally, reach out to Luigi directly. His contact information is their services at keybank.bz, or you can reach out via their website. I do want to make a quick notice that the phone number you see on the screen there is a Belize phone number. So if you're planning to call, make sure that you put the plus in front of the 501, or you dial 011 in front of the 501. Otherwise, you'll get, I think it's an Arkansas number. So just very important information there. And you'll see on the screen a code to mention when you're reaching out to Luigi. And we're going to go why that code is important in just a couple of moments. But if there's anything that you want further information on, please reach out to Luigi. Just due to some banking laws, restrictions, and rules, we may not be able to answer those for you live on the webinar, but Luigi is more than happy to go through those directly to you and have that conversation with you a little bit more one-on-one. So we're going to jump here to the international opportunities that are available with ECI Development. And the reason that I want to talk briefly about the opportunities with you is because oftentimes we're asked about what sort of international real estate is available and what the financing terms look like. I do want to be clear that we in the States and North America primarily are very, very used to putting 20% down on a property and financing 80%. As you saw in Luigi's presentation, they typically finance up to 50%, meaning that you come up with the other 50%. And I don't want that to discourage you. I just want you to be aware of what you're getting into when you're looking at property overseas. And a couple of folks have mentioned that they were able to get a line of credit from their bank at home, so that's always an option. Or if you find a couple of friends who are also interested in owning vacation homes, then you can certainly go that route too and split some costs. But if you are looking at ownership of real estate and financing is something that is of consideration to you, we do work closely with Caye Bank, and again, are more than happy to directly introduce you to Luigi, and he can have that more personalized conversation with you, and we can certainly give you the information that we have from the development perspective. But ECI Development is a developer, as you saw earlier, that's based throughout Latin America. So we have property in Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Belize, Panama, and in addition to that, agricultural opportunities, specifically in teak, and then also bonds, an infrastructure bond that you see there on the screen on the right-hand side. And you can't finance for a bond or for teak specifically or shares, but the bottom two, Belize real estate and Nicaragua real estate, you're able to finance for. So if you've heard of any of these opportunities before, some of the most popular is the Belize property. We just announced a partnership with the Marriott Hotel, so building one of the first branded hotels on Ambergris Caye. A lot of folks have wanted to jump in on this opportunity. They see what's available for them. They see the path of progress that Ambergris Caye and Belize are in. And if you're interested in getting in, there's a limited number of condos that are available at this point, but that's a beachfront Caribbean Marriott starting at about $400,000. In addition to that, we have off-beach property that starts at about $139,000. And then we have direct beachfront real estate in Nicaragua, which is just incredible Pacific views and surfing and fishing and swimming, and a really remarkable place where you're able to finance on any of those opportunities, Belize real estate and also Nicaragua real estate. So consider that as you're looking through your opportunities. It is rare to find developers that do offer financing or that work with banks that do offer financing, but we are very proud and happy with our relationship with Caye Bank to provide you accessible opportunities so that you don't have to necessarily put 100% down when you're looking at property overseas. So I mentioned to you a couple of slides ago that it is important to mention your code when you're reaching out to Luigi or me, and the reason for that is because we do have a couple of webinar specials for you. Luigi was kind enough to offer $10 off the opening of a Caye Bank account You just have to complete the paperwork by the middle of next month, and you'll be able to get $10 off. And at Grand Bayman Gardens, we're offering 40% off Belize accommodations as long as you visit by August 31st. And what we realized is that when people are going through the bank account process of opening a bank account or processing a loan, they want to get to know their bankers. And one of the best ways that you're able to do that is coming down to Belize, spending a few days on Ambergris, and of course, meeting the team working there at the bank. As Luigi mentioned, Belize is an English-speaking country. So whenever you're working with your bankers, you're able to have that direct communication with them in the language that you're familiar and comfortable with. And this personally for me was a bit of a challenge when I started banking in Panama, because they'd asked me for a document and I gave it to them, and then I asked them for a confirmation of funds, and they ended up sending me like a withdrawal slip. I mean, it was something else. And banking in Spanish is not in my forte of the Spanish language, so it got a little confusing very, very quickly. But what's nice in Belize is that English is the official language. So come on down to Belize. Gives you a good reason to come down for a business trip. You do get 40% off of accommodations at Grand Bayman Gardens. And then if you go through your paperwork, work with Luigi and his team on getting your bank account set up, and do that by July 15th, or at least be in contact with him so that you're able to go through your timeline to make sure that you have everything that you need that is required. So Luigi is going to reach out to you directly if you're interested in learning more. We do have a couple of questions that are coming through, so feel free to type those in there and we'll read those out loud and go through them. So bear with me here as I get these pulled up. All right, and one of the first questions, excuse me, that I'm seeing here is, it is my understanding that there is no bank deposit guarantee in Belize, and so what security does KeyBank actually provide to protect its customer deposits? And Luigi, that one's for you. I can't answer that one.
Fair enough. Well, first let me say that I believe there should not be any cause for concern that there is no bank deposit guarantee scheme in Belize, like the FDIC in the USA. The reason for me saying that is due to the Central Bank of Belize insisting on a reserve requirement for banks based within Belize. And these are 3 times what is required in the United States for their local banks. Also, as I alluded to earlier in the webinar, Key has one of the highest liquidity ratios of any global bank, and currently our liquidity is about twice the Belize legal minimum. And in addition to this, Caye International Bank does not invest in equities, derivatives, or any other exotic financial products, and so this substantially reduces the risk to customer deposits from market volatility.
All right, perfect. And Luigi, I just got a notice from someone for you to just slow down a little bit. So for this next question, if
Sure.
you don't mind, I get that often too, so I completely understand. All right, so this next question that just popped up is, there are concerns about the recent trend of unbanking. There is a concern that it can be difficult to get funds in, and it may become even more difficult to get funds out of the U.S. and international banks withdrawing correspondent services. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's quite valid. I understand the concerns expressed here. I believe this question was directed at what happened about 2 to 3 years ago, and that was de-risking by American financial institutions. Still several years later, there are still some banks throughout the Caribbean and Central America who are struggling with the consequences of de-risking. Although Key has managed to weather the storm, so to speak, by being the first bank in Belize to become United States FATCA compliant. And this has actually allowed Key Bank to be viewed as a trustworthy correspondent banking partner, and for our bank customers to have less disruption to their US dollar wire transfers during this period than most other banks in the region.
All right, perfect. And I'm seeing a couple of questions here that I don't know if you can necessarily answer during a marketing presentation like this, Luigi, but I'll read them out loud, and assuming that other people have similar questions, then I'll ask for you to reach out to them directly. But one of the questions is, what is the minimum deposit? And if
Sure.
at any point you can answer these, out loud, feel free to do so. But otherwise, I'll assume that due to
Yep.
some of the laws, you're
Min
not able to.
minimum deposit is $1,000.
Okay. And then, are there wired transfer fees?
Yes, $10 incoming, $100 outgoing.
All right. Perfect. And this is a question that is interesting. Do you offer loans for property purchases in India for American citizens?
We can. It would just obviously be a bit difficult for us to assess a property in India, but that's something that we could potentially look at. Just email services at keybank.bz, and our loan department will be in touch.
All right, perfect. And then this kind of goes with that question that you just answered, so I can take a stab at it, and if I'm wrong, Luigi, let me know. But does KeyBank provide real estate financing to only a limited number of geographic locations? And they do provide financing, as we just mentioned, in other locations as well. But they do need to do their due diligence on the property to make sure that it is something they're able to finance.
Yeah, I mean, to date, we've focused on Belize, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. So those 4 jurisdictions we know quite well. Anything outside of that, it would just take us a bit longer to assess, but we can certainly move forward with financing in those jurisdictions, or those jurisdictions outside those 4 that I've just mentioned.
All right, and this is another question, and we did touch upon it, I think, a little bit earlier, but can the KeyBank account be associated with an IRA LLC checking?
Yep, can do.
All right, and like, what are your account fees? I think that's one that you need to answer directly with the client. Is there a fee to exchange currency within your bank account?
No, because you open separate foreign currency accounts. There is a nominal charge though for changing, say, for instance, British pounds to euros, depending on the
All right,
exchange.
and perfect. This is an interesting topic, and we don't have it necessarily jotted down in our agenda, Luigi. And if you're not necessarily comfortable answering that, then that's okay too. But the question that was asked here is, how did the FATCA requirements affect your bank?
Right. Was essentially, I can simplistically get into it. Everyone was asked to either become FATCA compliant, or they could not have a bank account with Caye International Bank. That was the way we went forward.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd recommend, if you haven't looked up on, this is for our audience here, if you haven't looked up the FATCA rules and regulations and intricacies on their IRS website, do that, because it is interesting to read up on it. And what ultimately a lot of the banks had to make the decision was whether they wanted to accept US clients or not. And KeyBank did decide to continue accepting US clients, and therefore they are FATCA compliant. So this is from personal experience. I do want to let folks know that when they're looking at opening a bank account offshore, whether it's Belize or any other jurisdiction, you are going to be asked for quite a bit of paperwork if you are a US citizen. Don't get deterred by that. Once you get through that initial process, it's pretty smooth sailing from there. But a lot of this is due to FATCA and just making sure that the financial institution is compliant with what is being requested and required from the US. So just take that into consideration. And if you wanted to take a look through the paperwork specifically for KeyBank, Luigi will contact you. And at the bottom of the screen there that you see, it says banking@ecidevelopment.com. You could also reach Luigi and me through that email address. We get copied on both of them, so it'll go directly to both of us. Or if you wanted to reach out to him directly, you're able to do that. All right, so the next question that I'm seeing in here, and Natasha, I think this is something you'll have to talk to him, Luigi, directly about, is, do you provide investment financing for apartment buildings in Panama? What would the LTV, the loan to value, be? And for all of their properties, it's 50% loan to value. So be prepared to put up the other 50%. A question is, can one purchase silver through your bank and store it with you? I think that's when you have to enter directly with the client. And this is interesting. And Luigi, let me know what you think on this. But is KeyBank planning to set up a cryptocurrency account management?
It's been discussed, but not moving forward at present with that. We do accept exchange of crypto, so the fiat currency. So if you're exchanging Bitcoin into fiat currency, and you have an account in your name at KeyBank and an account at, say, for example, Kraken exchange in your name, you can actually transfer that to Caye International Bank.
All right, and one of the questions here from Don is, can the initial deposit be made in Canadian dollars? Don, yes. You can open up a Canadian dollar account, so you can make that initial deposit in Canadian dollars. And something that I find really intriguing is if you are Canadian, you are able to get your loan through in Canadian dollars also. So bear that in mind as you're looking at real estate. John McKinney asked, when are the Costa Rica properties scheduled to begin development? The type and range price for Costa Rica. John, we are in the process of finalizing surveys and the master plan for Grand Caribbean Costa Rica. So we're looking at about 2 to 3 years, perhaps 4 years, until we're beginning construction on that property. It'll be very similar to a southern Florida type of landscape with the canals and the jungly, the tropical theme, but we'll get that information to you as it continues to develop. If you're interested in Panama or perhaps Belize or Nicaragua, we can certainly fill you in on the products there. And just depending on, again, what it is you're looking at, prices start about $139 in Nicaragua and Belize, and they go up to about close to about a little over $1 million for a 3-bedroom Marriott unit in Belize on the Ambergris Caye. All right, so I'm seeing a lot more questions come in, but due to a lot of the banking laws, and I'm not trying to be ambiguous here or skirt any questions, but Luigi does have a thumb on him that does get pushed down as he continues to answer more specific questions. But we do really encourage you to engage with him on a one-on-one basis, and you're able to contact him there directly through banking@ecidevelopment.com. Or if you wanted to give him a ring on the Belize number that you saw a little bit earlier, you can certainly do so as well. Make sure that if you're interested in opening a KeyBank account, to reach out, get an idea of what the paperwork looks like. Again, this can be done more specifically through that personalized conversation. And if you aim to have your paperwork in by July 15th, then you're eligible to get $10 off of the opening fees for your KeyBank account. And if you want to come down to Belize, meet the team at KeyBank, or just pop in and say hi to us across the street at the ECI offices, you're more than welcome to do that. You do get 40% off your Belize accommodations if you decide to visit by August 31st, 2018. So that concludes our session here. I encourage you again to reach out to us. A lot of good information was shared. Luigi, thank you so much for your time and for putting those slides together. A lot was learned. If anybody is interested in receiving the slide deck, I know that we went through some of these slides fairly quickly. Just send us an email to banking@ecidevelopment.com and we'll email those over to you. There's one more question that I'm seeing that comes through that I do want to answer, and that one is about financing at our ECI properties. And I don't think I mentioned this a little bit ago, but we do have special rates negotiated with KeyBank. So it is 50% down, 50% loan to value, and we secured a really attractive rate of 6.9% interest with financing through KeyBank. So bear that in mind. It does get even better. You have that great rate of 6.9%. You're not obligated, as we talked about, to finance at all through the bank, but again, it's a really attractive option if you're looking at your international opportunities. So with that, Luigi, any last comments?
Well, good. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel, and thank you everyone for joining us this evening.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a really great evening and looking forward to keeping in contact. Good night.